Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining me as we run through the project and an example of what your project might look like. So, today we are creating an interactive portfolio website that acts as an AI assistant. This is really great for when visitors might arrive to your site and they want to ask questions about you or get some conversational responses, just so it feels a little more dynamic than having a static site. And this is something that you can either add to a website that you already have or just use as a portfolio example just to show your skills. But let's dive into it here. The other great thing about this is that it is also free and really accessible. So it allows us to understand the capabilities of AI at the free tiers too, and just how powerful it is. If you want to watch other videos that explore some of the other wild things going on, I can possibly make some of those later. But today, let's get into some of the fun stuff here. So, with our portfolio website that's going to act as an AI assistant, the first thing we want to do is actually go to Claude or an AI program of your choice and set up a project folder. The great thing about this is that it helps you stay very organized and allows your conversations with AI to remain focused and contextual. So on the side here where my mouse is, you'll see that there's a place where we call the project knowledge, and that allows you to add things like your resume or CV for this sort of project, any documents that might elevate your experience with AI and just provide additional information. I highly recommend using this. You can use this for this project if you like. If you have a great resume, throw it in there. It can incorporate it into the next steps. I'm just going to move forward with entering a prompt here. So I'm going to grab my prompt that I made and stick it in here. And as you can see, I outlined a bit of what I'm looking for. So I had a bit of a conversation before where I said, what would we want to see if we were to optimize a portfolio? And I just outputted some things and I created this prompt. You don't have to do that, it just kind of elevates everything a bit more. So we have what we're going to do in here, and I want it to produce something that we can actually use. So I asked it to create a the code for a single page site. We're going to use GitHub, and we'll get to that later. And it will guide you through this process. So don't worry if you don't know coding or anything too technical. We are on the right track by just engaging with AI. So, as you can see, I have asked for some features like a chat interface that visitors can enter questions into, some pre programmed responses just to add to that conversation, and a bit about myself to add to the responses. So, what my target roles are, my key projects, my skills and experience, and why I might be good for my kind of target company uh, job. So, additionally, I have some suggested questions to help guide the visitors. We're in user experience design is a really big deal in this program, so we want to keep that in mind always. How can we help our users in that experience? And what are some smooth animations and modern chat UIs that we can incorporate just to make it feel really with it? And then, of course, mobile responsive designs. So you would click play here, and it would run through it. And we're just going to jump to the response that it made, which is this. So you can see that AI is thinking here. So it's saying I'll search for previous information, it's gathering info. You can see it going through its own process, which I recommend you pay attention to because it's really helpful for interacting with AI in general. And you can see that it has this little notice here, which you can click, and it will show you its artifact of what it's drafted up based on your project request. And it did this all by itself pretty much, other than the prompt that we provided it, which is pretty incredible. And it's telling us that these are the features that it included based on what we asked for. And you can see the interactive elements. And at the end here, it's telling us, if you want to customize this is what you need to do right here. And when I see this, I go, great. Okay, we need to replace my name, but I don't want to go through all of the code here. As you can see on this side, it's generating. I like this side because it's more relaxing with the eye icon. And you can see that instead of having to go through that code and edit it, we can just tell it a bit about ourselves or give it a link to information about us, like our LinkedIn page, and it will help customize everything for us based on the information that we give. So we don't have to parse through everything ourselves. So I am going to actually give it my LinkedIn. It does tend to reject those sort of links for privacy and security reasons, which is great. But what it does is a little workaround to find other ways to gain information about me and display it. And so, since it's public information, I'm going to go ahead with that anyways. And as you can see, I entered my customized LinkedIn profile here, and it did exactly what I thought, which was at first it kind of failed to fetch some of that info for security reasons and access, but it looked at other public info that it could access, found all this information about me with this specific criteria, which it built itself based on that original prompt. And I told it to go ahead. So again, this was really just like my second prompt here. And then we move on, and you can see that it goes from this to this result, where it outputs information specific to me instead of the general generic version it had before. So if we scroll back up here, you can see that's where I put in my prompt, and then it did its thinking and went through everything, and then it had its version here. It's helpful to keep track of these sort of version updates, and you can see that at the top here. So if you want to go back, you can. Obviously, the latest is at the top, and you can click that. So it's looking pretty good so far. Welcome. I'm here to help you learn more about me. And feel free to ask questions about Michaela and experience what it would be like for her to work for you, or etc. And you can see these are the suggested questions that we asked for in our prompt. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, this is really excellent. We have made strides forward. It is personalized in the text aspect, but it's kind of lacking in the design. So if we move on here, I'm going to enter my new prompt, still all on the same chat. You can also do it in new chats if it's all within the same project, but since this is a smaller project, we don't need to worry too much about that. So I say, how can we add a bit more of my personality to it via design? And please note that I intend to use this for GitHub pages. I'm saying this because I want it to be thoughtful about how it creates its solution, understanding where I want to end up. So I want to end up on HubSpot, or sorry, not HubSpot, GitHub pages, and this is helping it design accordingly. So, as you can see, we have color preferences, design styles, but I really like how it provides design personality ideas. So, it gives me quite a few here, and I say the privacy conscious theme and the HCI vibes looks pretty good to me. I don't want to overwhelm it, so I'm just going to stick with those two. So in my prompt next, I say let's go with the HCI research vibes and the privacy conscious theme. And thanks, just out of habit. And then it goes off and creates this based on its thinking and output. And if we click it, this is the latest version so far. And you can see that it's updated the design. So this was the design that it had before. And then after that prompt, it updated to this more kind of HCI vibe that I liked. You can expand on this a lot more yourselves for your own projects. This is just a simple kind of walkthrough of how to do this. If you want to add more to it, go for it. This is just my quick little demo here. So I'm looking at this and I think, okay, I think we are ready to publish this or put it on GitHub. So let's see if we're missing anything. No, it looks good. I love to read through everything and recommend that you do too. So that was our latest version, and it's saying it's ready for GitHub as well. So let's download it. So you can go over here and you can download as HTML. Remember, it's asking us to save this as an index.html file for us to put in our repository in GitHub. So when you download this, remember to rename it as index.html. And once you do that, we'll be ready to proceed. So next you'll have to set up your GitHub account, which is just like setting up any other account, thankfully. So I'm going to go into my GitHub here, and on the side, once you set up your GitHub, you can see your repositories. I'm going to go into the interactive portfolio chat, or actually, let's make a new one so you can see exactly how it's done. So GitHub is really effective because a lot of developers have used it in the past, but AI allows us or more people to interact with it and publish things for free with your kind of name behind it. So if we put in interactive portfolio, I'm just going to make this one shorter. You can see that it's green because it's available. I'm not going to put in a description, but if you'd like to be extra diligent, you're welcome to do that. And I'm going to make sure that these are on no and it's on public. That's great. And you don't need a README file. Please don't do a README file because the AI usually doesn't like this. So create your repository. There's a lot of waiting with AI, so try to become a great multitasker. And you can see that it is something went wrong. That's okay. You might experience this too. So it's a little too close, it looks like, to my other one. Maybe if I delete. Oh, it did work. Okay. So if you saw what I did there, I went into my repositories and I went into this interactive portfolio chat. I went into upload an existing file down here in quick setup. And this is where you want to drop that index.html file. So if I go over here and grab it, and we'll just give it a second there. And I'm going to commit the changes. It's getting exciting. And so this part is good. We can see that the file is there and we're happy about that. Then we can go to settings. And this can be a bit finicky, so bear with me. Make sure that your name is good. You want your branch to be main. And we're actually going to go to pages here on the side. And we want to make sure that this is deploy from branch, which is great. And you will need to likely change this under branch in GitHub. Click main and root. And then make sure to save those. Sometimes I forget to save and it doesn't work out. So remember to save. And that's great. And then we can go back to it does take a bit of time to load. So as you can see, it has now showed up on the GitHub pages. And you can see that it is live here. So if I click this, it will open. Yay. So this allows us to actually interact with it. And this is why you can use it as an example of a portfolio piece or just a way to present part of your portfolio to make it a bit more engaging and interactive. So if I click one of these guides, like HCI Research, it will output a bit about myself to whoever is interacting with this. This is particularly helpful if you have a recruiter and you want them to kind of ask some quick questions that are very catered, that have very catered responses. You can keep clicking away. You can ask your own questions and so forth. So that is everything there. And feel free to expand on this, make